We're live and we're streaming the show on Twitter as well as on Facebook. We're available listen to that. We're available on TikTok. We're there out on Instagram, on YouTube as well. Sports Night Live. Sports Night Amplified with Andile, rather. Hey, I'm out of breath even. So, it's Sports Night Amplified with Andile. I am Andile Ncube. We are live on Twitter. You can watch the show right now on Facebook. We're there. A little bit later on, we'll put it up on YouTube. We'll put it up on Instagram as well as on TikTok. Fridays are podcast Fridays, so we're going to be touching on a lot of stories that happened during the week. The huge story of Andile Jali. What's going on with Andile Jali? We saw the stories that have come out, but, we'll get into that. Hugo Broos, he's selected his squad. One of the things he says is that Cassius Malula is not ready for Europe yet. Let him stay at Sundowns another year. Jose Riveiro, we played the clip yesterday. What are his thoughts on where Orlando Pirates are in comparison to where Sundowns are? Morgan Mammila, he was in studio. He's had a lot to say. We'll get into that as well. But the big one that I quite enjoyed the conversation with was Chief Tidiela out at Black Leopards. He says that if you are in the north of South Africa, Limpopo, Polokwane, you're disadvantaged in football in South Africa because it's a lot more costly for you. The traveling costs you more. It taxes your players a little bit more. We'll get into all those conversations with Nadim at Pro Philani, and of course, Opta Jabu. He's here in the building. So if you're watching live, you can see him. Let's take a break.
Get free accessories valued at 18,000 Rand when you pick up any robust and reliable Mahindra single cab bakkie until the 31st of March. This includes a set of alloy wheels, a fitted tow bar, and rubberizing, giving your business that extra drive to conquer any venture, no matter the road. But stock is limited, so act fast. Visit your nearest Mahindra dealer today or visit mahindra.co.za and book your test drive. T's and C's apply.
Sekhukhune United are not about dropping further down in the DStv Premiership. Meanwhile, their visitors, Chippa United, are seeking for nothing but a fat 3 points to avoid the relegation zone. United versus United. Will Babina Noko sing a song of victory? Or will the Chili Boys walk out more united? Catch Sekhukhune United and Chippa United on Saturday, 18 March at 2:30 p.m. Live on SABC1 and your favorite SABC radio stations. Hashtag We Love It Here. Brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
We gon' get connected. WhatsApp the Metro FM studio. 060-552-7303. Call the Metro FM live studio. 0860-002-160.
Let's start the show off in a better way with our friends at Betway.
Share all the sporting thrills with Betway. Visit betway.co.za. Bet your way with Betway.
Ziyakhala ke manje. Predict and you could win 250,000 rands Bamba 13. Starting from just 5 rands, get them all right and you'll be smiling at your Betway account.
Bet on your favorite teams and leagues online, anytime and anywhere with Betway. Visit betway.co.za.
It's exactly 14 after the R6 on the Mighty Metro FM at Sports That Amplified with Andile. Touch on his team. They're back again tomorrow on Monday between 3 and 6. We've got our guests as per usual on a Friday here. It's Podcast Fridays on Sports That Amplified, and we check the stories of the week, and we look forward to the weekend as well. There are 2 games in the DStv Premiership today, so hopefully if we have enough time, the guys will be able to touch on those as well. It's Swallows and Arrows. It's Stellenbosch and Amazulu. Those are the 2 games that you can catch this evening, both kicking off at a 7:30. Let me start in the studio. Sitting with me, it is a man that you know on social media as part of a team of amazing and brilliant young black South Africans. They call themselves Opta Jabu. Lindel Lomoya is their mouthpiece. Lindel.
Andile, thank you. It's a pleasure being here. Always awesome to be with you guys on a Friday. Greetings to you, greetings to the listeners as well. And I look forward to this super hour.
Well, you're going to be with us for the hour, so get comfortable. Buckle up.
Absolutely.
He's not in studio with us, but we can never leave him out. He's all the way in the KZN. It's a Pro Philani. Pro, always great to have you. Welcome to the show.
Good evening with Andile. Good evening to everybody in the studio and all the listeners of this number 1 sports show in South Africa.
Hey, man, he's your best friend, and he's not in studio today, just like you. He said he wants to be like you. He's under the weather a little bit, but still kind enough to take our call. Nadim Lukhele. Nadim out in Johannesburg. Nadim, welcome.
Good evening, guys. Good to see you in the studio, and thank you so much for
Yeah, we're waving at the camera. Nadim, of course, are watching online there. Nadim, it's going to be an exciting one. I can't wait to get into some of the conversations we're going to be having, and I hope you and Pro are ready for it. You know, we've got Andile Jali that we need to speak about. We've got Chief TDL Junior Chifiwa here, speaking, of course, about how difficult it is for teams that come from the north of South Africa to compete in the DStv Premiership and even, you know, in the Motsepe Foundation Championship because of the traveling they have to do. I mean, he mentions amounts here to say just to move a team from there to go play in Cape Town, you're looking at about 300,000 when the grant is only 500,000. We've also got Hugo Broos who named his squad. I can't wait to hear your views. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we start with the show. You can get involved 086 0002160 or send us a WhatsApp 060 552 7303.
The Metro FM Music Awards 2023 are back in Bombela, Mpumalanga. The awards return to honor and celebrate the best of South African talent. To stand by for the nominee announcements and get ready to vote for your favorite artists. The biggest night on the South African music calendar, going down on the 6th of May at the Mammila Stadium of Mpumalanga, the place of the rising sun. Metro FM, it's where you're at. Top 30 chart show with DJ Savvy. 9 till 12.
Helen is a renowned music journalist in South Africa, and she's really been documenting South African music for over 12, if not 15 years now.
17.
Which genre do you see really coming through in the forefront in 2023?
There's always hope for hip hop.
Yeah.
You know, I think that Unomfundo Mo, last year, she had a huge run. Literally, people were saying they're so tired of seeing that Apple Music ad on TikTok because she was everywhere, right? Amapiano is obviously still reigning.
And the DJs?
TXC. Those girls are hardly ever in South Africa. Why? Because they're overseas gigging their butts off.
Catch the Metro FM Top 30 chart every Saturday from 9 a.m. till 12 midday.
You must be wondering how I went from watching the polo to having one of my horses on the field. I chose to invest in a Nedbank Electronic Optimum Plus account. That's how.
Seriously?
Seriously.
Get a rate of up to 12.42% after 60 months on a Nedbank Electronic Optimum Plus account. Now everyone can open an investment account on the Nedbank Money app. Join the bank that's best for your savings goals. See money differently. Nedbank. We're a licensed FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
It's heat like never before in the summer of cricket. The Proteas and the Windies shift their focus to the second one-day international clash. Who will have the best day in the office? The Proteas or the Windies? Be part of it. South Africa versus West Indies in the second ODI on S3. This Saturday, 18 March at 12:30 p.m. Also available on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
We gon' get connected. WhatsApp the Metro FM studio. 060-552-7303. Call the Metro FM live studio. 0860-002-160.
It's exactly 19 after the hour 6 on the mighty Metro FM. Welcome to it. It's Sports That Amplified with Andile. I am Andile Ncube. On a Friday, it's Podcast Fridays. Up to Jabu sits across from me. We've got, of course, two guys in Nadim as well as Pro Philani. We relay the story. I put it as it is. This is what's happened in football this week. And the guys, they give us their insights on it. And you can trust them simply because they are an authority when it comes to football. Let me start in studio with Opta. I want to go to what Hugo Broos has done with the national team. Bafana Bafana take Liberia on in 2 matches on the 24th and 28th in order to qualify for AFCON. What do you have for me statistically?
So, thanks, Andile. I think we can start with his record in qualifiers when playing at home for major tournaments. I think we've touched on this before, but it remains very important. They've lost none of the games under Hugo Broos when playing at home in a
So Hugo Broos in the qualifier, which is an official match at home, has not lost.
100% record.
Wow.
Played 3, won 3, and ironically, every single one of them by a 1-0 scoreline.
Okay.
So that's a good point.
That is a good point.
That's a very good point. So this is the third time Bafana actually facing Liberia. They did the same earlier on in the century. 1-1, drew 1 in the AFCON qualifiers around 2000, 2001.
Okay.
So they played, Bafana won 1 and drew the other game. At the end of that group, Liberia topped the group, but both teams qualified.
Wow. So Liberia, to us, we might not look at it as such a small team. But let's go to Hugo Broos. I spoke to him, courtesy of SABC Sport. He was on SABC 1 with me. We had conversations about some of the players that he's left out of this team. This is what he had to say about Mudau and the omission of Mudau from the team. We don't have that one? Okay, cool. Let's go to what we do have. Hugo Broos on Percy Tau and the return of Percy Tau to the team.
Yes, when I compare Percy Tau of last Saturday, I think it was, against Sundowns, and I saw Percy Tau playing 1 year ago against Sundowns, also with Al Ali. There's a big difference. When 1 year ago, it looked a player who didn't have confidence, who was tired, so he was not in shape, not at all. But what I saw last Saturday against Sundowns, for me, it was the most dangerous player of Al Ali. Percy was, for me, the only player who did something, who made actions, who made a fantastic goal. So, as I said always, when Percy is playing regularly in his team, then he will be with the national team because he's a good player.
Well, we did find it. Here is, that was him speaking on Percy Tau's return to the national team and how impressed he was when he watched him play against Mamelodi Sundowns. Let's go now to the omission of Mudau, which seems to be the one glaring thing that many people were asking. This is what he had to say when I asked him about it.
You put Mudau on the right back, you have to choose, So, and for me, Moby never disappointed me, never. And with Morena, we have a player who can play right back, but who can play also a little bit higher. So you have something more with Morena. Mudau is very strong offensively, I know it, but maybe we need also a little bit more than that. And I think that Morena is a little bit stronger defensively than Mudau, but he's maybe a little bit less offensively than Mudau. So it's a choice that I made.
And then he speaks about Cassius Mailula as well making the team. This is what Hugo Broos, when I asked him about it, had to say.
You have to be careful with sending such a player too soon to Europe. Honestly, I don't think he's ready for Europe now. I don't think. Mailula is doing very good, but it's his first season. Last year, he came 1 game or 2 games and it was finished. You didn't see him. Now we break through. But telling now already that he's ready to go to Europe.
He's not ready for Europe. It's only been a year. He needs to play a little bit more in South Africa, he says. And lastly, 8 players from Sundowns made the squad of 23. That's what he had to say about Sundowns.
Honestly, don't misunderstand me, but honestly, I don't like them. To have so much players from the same club. Because that means that when you're looking for players on a certain position, that you don't find them in other teams. And this is not good for African football. I should have been always in a position like for the right back. Okay, I have a central defender, I need a central defender. Who I will take central defender? Okay, Kekana. Mvala. So I always went to Sundowns. And it's logic. It's logic. When you see how Sundowns is performing in PSL and certainly in the Champions League, they won all the games. Also outside and not with 1-0 or no. They won it 3-1, 3-0. So they have an enormous experience on that level, and that can help us a lot now in those 2 games.
Hugo Broos has named his 23-man squad Bafana Bafana to take on Liberia in 2 matches. Both matches live on SABC Sport, SABC 1 and SABC 3 on the 24th as well as the 28th of this month. After he speaks there about Cassius Mailula. Give me the stats on what Cassius has been able to do this season.
So this season, which has been a very good season for him, Cassius has been involved in 20 goals across all competitions, and he's just the second player to have done so after his teammate Peter Shalulile. So 20 goal involvements, only 2 players across the entire division have done that. One is Shalulile, who we all know is a superstar, and the other is Mailula, who's up and coming.
Amazing. Let's go to the guys now. Let me start perhaps with the man that seems to know all things Sundowns. Pro Hugo Broos, you heard his squad announcement. You heard his views on omitting Mudau and Cassius Mailula, Percy Tau, and the entire Sundowns. What do you think?
Well, the with Andile, like I said last week, I always believe that the best available players should be playing for the national team. And as soon as a player is called for Bafana Bafana, club affiliation should be put aside, and all those players should be called Bafana Bafana players. For me to say you can't select more Sundowns players and all those kind of things, it doesn't help us as a country. But coming back to the players that you omitted, I don't think that there's a right back that has done exceptionally well than Ukholisa Mutau in South Africa. You know, if you look at his contribution at Sundowns in the final third, his positional play, his involvement and assist in all those attributes that make a good right back, I think Kholiso is way ahead. You look at game intensity, he's playing CAF Champions League, he's playing high-level games for Mamelodi Sundowns. I don't think that there's a right back that has many minutes as Kholiso Mutau. But Hugo Broos knows best to say that he opts for Utapele Morena instead of him. I think it's criminal of him, even with all due respect. Even with Nico Mobi, I don't think that Nico Mobi has equal contributions as Ukholisa Mutau in his team. And Sundowns have only lost one game with Ukholisa Mutau in the team. So you can imagine, this is one game in the league. You can imagine the amount of contribution that the guy makes in the team. So, but at the end of the day, I'm saying I'm still going to rally behind Hugo Broos and the national team, because the ultimate goal is to go to Ivory Coast and play AFCON, and not to entertain politics when I put Andile.
Nadim?
Yeah, it's a very interesting squad. So happy with it. I think he selected the best players that are available in the national team. I think you're asking about Ndao. Ndao is one of the solid players in the PSL, but of course, he doesn't have to select every Sundowns player that is available or on form. Yes, as the coach did say that Mobi is the one that he's been relying on previously, and Thapelo Morena is there also. It doesn't mean that every player from Sundowns that has been doing well has to be selected and is guaranteed to start the national team. I think I wouldn't really talk too much about Ndao. It's a bit unfortunate not to have made the squad, having been one of the players who have been key in Sundowns winning the league, solid as a right back and offensively. So he was one of those misses, but I think going forward, he's going to be part of the national team. I don't think we're playing Libera. Libera is not one of the Libera, right? It's not one of the top teams that you can think Bafana Bafana needs to maybe choose the best players available. Yes, you have to choose the best players available, but I think Mobi has been part of the previous squad, and Morena, we saw him scoring a cracker against Al Ali. So overall, the squad, Andy, I think it's impressive.
What did you make of what he had to say about Cassius Malula and, basically saying, stop with the Europe talk right now. Let the boy play in the DStv Premiership. He still needs more time there.
I strongly disagree with the coach. I think he needs to focus on Bafana Bafana, not to discourage our players and say they're not ready to go to the... but he's ready. I mean, he's the same age with Bukayo Saka, who might even assist Arsenal to win the league. He's been impressive, as Opta Chabu just said. He was in 20 goals this season. He's impressive. He's one of the best players in the PSL. If you are counting the top 5 best players, Malula has to be there. So if a top 5 best player in the PSL is not ready to go overseas, I think it's just not right. Honestly, trying to find ways why the coach is disrespecting the country, because for me, it's kind of disrespectful if he says the player that is one of the best in the winning team in South Africa, and also in the national team, in South African football as a whole. That's why he called him in the national team, but he's not ready to go overseas. He is ready. Of course, the coach is not telling the truth. Maybe we need to focus on qualifying for the national team and leave who's way ready to go overseas or not.
No, then stop asking him the question, because he wouldn't answer it if he wasn't asked. But anyway, let's move on from that. But stay at Sundowns this time around. Andile Jali. We heard the stories. We heard what was going on with him. He hasn't been training with Sundowns. He hasn't traveled with Sundowns whenever they've traveled. Even at the moment when they've traveled, he hasn't been part of that traveling party. We've heard the story about the contracts not being ready. But what we do know for sure is this. Andile Jali showed up at training in a state that a player shouldn't be showing up at training. He's since been at home, has not returned to training. Pro?
A disappointing end to a Sundowns career. I am of the view that Andile Jali was one of the leaders at Sundowns. He was a very, very, I would say, a member of the core team of the Mamelodi Sundowns team, and he has won so many trophies at Sundowns, and one would have expected a player of his caliber to really honor his contract and remain committed to the club until the last day of his contract. Because in that way, you don't only earn a salary at the club, but you also earn respect from your colleagues, from the management, and also from the supporters. I think that is part of football that cannot be traded by any footballer. I think that's what makes Sompoke kind of different to most of footballers, the fact that he still respected the club even when his contract was not renewed. And I was hoping that a player of his caliber, a leader of Andile Jali's caliber, would honor his contract until the end of the season. But whatever that has happened between the two parties, I just hope that if he decides to leave the club, he leaves the club respectfully and he goes and he enjoys his football, because most of us really enjoy Andile Jali on the field, and we still want to see him playing, for whether he decides to play for 3 more seasons or 5 more seasons. It's entirely up to him and his body. But I still want to see him on the field playing for whatever club that he chooses to play for at the beginning of next season.
Let's take a break. When we come back, we speak Orlando Pirates, we speak Morgan Mammila, as well as teams in the north of South Africa. Are they financially disadvantaged from doing well?
This is Sport Night Amplified with Andile. Okay.
We'll go into detail, of course, on the stories of the week. I'm going to have Nadim Lukhele come into the studio. We'll have at Pro Philani as well. After Jabu will talk to us about some of the stories that we're going to be covering, including the stats that Morgan was speaking about.
Out of all 30, is it 35 or 36 coaches? I'm the only head coach who has won 4 games in a row. There's no one.
Ben Dance did it.
I don't think so.
Ben Dance did it, I think, in his second stint, but I'll double check that for you, Coach.
Double check.
He seems to think at 4 in a row he's reached, the apex of achievement as what he did. I mean, great. I mean, absolutely. Take nothing away from that achievement, but is it the best ever?
And most coaches that are coaching PSL, they didn't even win 5 games.
Which other coaches ever won 5 in a row? Is there?
This is Sport Night Amplified, powered by SABC Sports. Let's go. With over 3 decades in the game, it's now a different playing field. Metro. Don't touch that dial. Metro FM. Hottest hit in the streets.
Extra elegant and extra powerful. You'll love everything about the new and impressive Honor X8A and Vodacom. Get it today on a 2 gig red core data plan for just 379 Rand per month over 36 months. And take stunning pictures from every angle with a crisp 100 megapixel ultra camera. Plus, get the Honor X3 Lite Buds valued at 1,499 Rand. Available in-store and online. T's and C's apply. Further together. Vodacom. Bayer Leverkusen want their name in the top half of the Bundesliga, while Bayern München are mandated to grab maximum points to secure the top spot. Will Bayer Leverkusen express their big appetite for victory at Bayer Arena? Or will Bayern München display that heroes of the beautiful game can triumph away from home? This is football as it's meant to be. The Bundesliga. Catch Bayer Leverkusen versus Bayern München on Sunday, 19 March, live at 6:30 p.m. on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. OpenView 124. Also available on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Hashtag We Love It Here. Brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
We gon' get connected. WhatsApp the Metro FM studio. 060-552-7303.
Mr. This is Mr. Explorer. Let us leave Hugo Broos to choose his own players, but if he fails, he will fail on his own, not on some people's terms. Because if people are saying we must choose from Sundowns, he must choose from Sundowns, no problem. Leaving case I choose players, it's not a problem. Yeah. No problem, Mr. Ma'a.
No problem at all, sir.
Andile. Jimmy Maga the busy con of Mote, Bebona, Andile. Hugo Broos Bafana Mara Pro Philani, Nadim, Havasa Kotofali. He must go back to the drawing board. Maranagam Quabit and Sundowns Swelagating, Andile. He wanted to Musola Maa. Andile, Jimmy Maga the busy con of Mote, Begalevo.
Danke. La Parra.
Hi, Andile. Let me talk about Bafana Bafana. I don't worry about who the coach selected or not selected. What we need is results. That's all. Abraham from Limpopo.
Cool. Thank you very much.
Good evening, Andile. It's Mandilake in Deep Slot. You know, when it comes to this Hugo Broos guy, this guy is boring me. You know, there's no day he doesn't tell us how we're not good enough. You know, I don't know why he's so praised and everything. Because we have a few things going on for us, like the way we fight in CAF competitions right now. We have better coaches like Pitso Mosimane, Benny McCarthy out there. And we do have a different style of football. And still we listen to people like Phillips and people like Hugo Broos who would come here and tell you that you're not worth it, you're not good enough. I just don't understand this whole praising Hugo Broos thing.
I must be honest, Mandilake, I'm the one that had the conversation with him. I don't remember saying that. I don't recall him saying that. I know in the past, you know, he's made utterances that might have led us into that, but recently, I don't remember that. There is currently a game underway right now, of course, in the Champions League. And I can tell you that in the group that involves Sundowns, you've got Cotton Sport playing Al Ahly. Al Ahly are leading that match by 2-0. Both games coming from Muamra Kabraba there. So it's 2-0 at the moment. Al Ahly getting 3 points if they're able to hold that there. Now let's move on to the other conversation that was had this week. Jose Riveiro, coach of Orlando Pirates, stating and speaking on, the differences, or rather the gap, or maybe the level in which they are at compared to Sundowns. Have a listen to this. It's Jose Riveiro that, had the conversation about it, and we're just going to react of what he's had to say. This was earlier in the week. I'm not sure what Malcolm is winding me up for. Here it is.
We are so far in terms of a point. One of the reasons is we have to accept it also that they are doing an excellent job. They won 19 games, 19 victories already in the league. We do our own analysis. It's not my role, obviously, analyze why they are getting those results. There's multiple reasons. There's not only one reason. But yeah, we know the reasons. We are working on it. But now we are focusing in the challenges that we have ahead of us, which is get that second position, badly with all of our strength to finish there, because it's the maximum that we can achieve this season. And in the end of the season, we will have time to analyze and realize the way that we can reduce that gap.
That's Jose Riveiro there. I'm not sure if there's many lies in what he's saying, but let's hear from Nadim. Nadim?
Yeah, okay, yeah. I was just thinking that in 2018, Orlando Pirates lost the league by a single point. Remember when they drew with Cape Town 2-2, and then Sundowns went to beat 3 Stars. That's 2018, and then Pirates lost the league 1-0. Here comes the coach who was hired by Orlando Pirates. Now he's saying there's a huge gap between Orlando Pirates and Mamelodi Sundowns. The guy is not the right guy for the coach. Let us be honest. He just needs to become honest and say,
because he says there's a gap between Sundowns and Pirates.
Yeah, of course. There's no gap. The Pirates and Sundowns have almost the same quality of players. I mean, you can even look at, there's something Philani once said, where you look how Ndlovu and Makaringa was bought from Marisburg. Sundowns wanted those players, and Pirates got them. They are getting the same quality. We cannot make an excuse and join Chagupule's chorus and blame Sundowns just because Rulani Mkwena has changed the team. Now they are winning. It's the same Orlando Pirates that beat Sundowns training. The coach didn't say they are way behind the Sundowns in the MTN8. So now, just because they find consistency in the league, they become so consistent and they find a way to defend well and win matches. Now they are way behind. They are way behind Sundowns. They are not. They are almost easy. The fact is, Orlando Pirates are failing to cope. In case the Chiefs are failing to cope with Sundowns' consistency in the league. I disagree with the coach.
So you think it's a coaching thing and not a players thing?
It is the coaching thing, of course. It's the same. That's why I said the same squad of Orlando Pirates. Pirates have the same squad, just like Sundowns, in terms of material. You can't say there's even the Andile Jali say goodbye. I hear that it might go to Orlando Pirates. It's the same kind of players that Sundowns have. Pirates also have the same quality of players that Sundowns. It's not actually, yes, you are right. It's not a player thing. It's a coaching thing. Rulani Mkwena, Steve Kombela, Mangoba Mnyechi, they've done wonders after beginning of the season, Sundowns lost to TX Galaxy, then lost to SuperSport United, then they were out of the MTN8. After that, they went on an amazing run. They are still unbeaten in the league. So you need to give credit to that. Pirates needs to also try to do the same thing. So it can't be now that Sundowns are finding content. We now say they are way ahead of. They are not ahead of those, especially Orlando Pirates. Pirates, they've done well in terms of recruitment.
All right.
That's why a player like Zakele Libasa was saying you cannot even see himself starting with Orlando Pirates because there's a lot of strikers who are ahead of him. He was honest enough that, look, even he knows that in June they will recruit more players. He doesn't see himself starting as an Orlando Pirates player because of the same quality that they have.
Pro Philani? Jose Riveiro, he speaks about Sundowns quality. He speaks about the differences, rather, between Sundowns and Orlando Pirates at the moment. Nadim says there is no such. It's just a coaching difference. Your thoughts?
I also believe that players at Pirates, there are a lot of movement. Just this current season, Orlando Pirates have released 13 players, and they signed 13 players. So there's no consistency when it comes to the squad. And if you look at the players that were playing regularly at Orlando Pirates last season, you look at the quality of players that they recruited this season. I mean, you recruited a Kenneth Erasmus, who was an IP at Sundowns. You recruited an Ivan Gaal, who was a top goal scorer at Chippa United with 10 goals. And they come to Orlando Pirates and they are firing blanks. And what is the main problem? You look at Makaringe. He was featuring more at Pirates last season. You look at Andile Jali, he was scoring goals at Pirates last season, and he's no longer featuring that much at Pirates this season. And it's an issue of consistency. I don't want to put the entire blame on the coach. Yes, I'm of the view that 60% of Pirates' problems are coaching problems, but players as well should shoulder the blame. They are not coming to the party. I'm saying 40% of Pirates' problems should be taken by players. I don't think that they really understand the caliber of the club they are playing for. I don't think that they understand the pressure and the hopes that they are carrying whenever they wear the Orlando Pirates jersey. There are thousands and thousands, even millions of Orlando Pirates fans who are out there and who are always crying every season. You can't be beaten by both Chiefs and Sundowns in one season and you call them your rivals. I think you give Chiefs 6 points, you give Sundowns 6 points, and you call them your rivals. You go into another calendar year, you are beaten 5 times by Mamelodi Sundowns, and you always say you are bigger than them. I think that the players, they really need to look in the mirror and ask themselves if they deserve to play for Orlando Pirates or not. Because at the end of the day, Orlando Pirates is a big team, well-respected team on the continent, well-respected team at the global stage, but the players, they are not showing that they are playing for such a team.
Let's leave that one and move along like we do every single Friday. We touch on the stories of the week. This time around, though, we're going to Morgan Mammila. The one thing he kept asking me when he was here is his stellar record of 4 wins in a row. Who else has done it? His amazing record. So Opta Jabu's here. Opta, does he have a good point?
Morgan Mammila has a good point, Andile. To win 4 games in a row, that's very rare in the PSL.
Wow.
In fact, this season, only 3 teams have done that. Chippa, Sundowns, and Sekhukhune.
So this season, you've had 3 teams do that?
Just 3 teams have won.
Then it's not so rare.
So he's one of them.
Okay.
Aside from him, only 2 other teams, Sundowns and Sekhukhune. And Morgan was the first one to do it this season. So when he done it in October 2022, Sundowns, under the joint leadership of Mngqithi Mokoena, they did it as well in October 2022. And then Trata came in January. He won 4 in a row when he rejoined.
So Brandon Trata at Sekhukhune?
Yes, at Sekhukhune. So he won 4 in a row as well. But then obviously the leader this season is Mokoena by himself. He's won 11 matches in a row until they went over to Stellenbosch and drew. That ended in February 2023. So 11 in a row, that's the longest. But then aside from that, it's just Mammila, Mngqithi Mokoena, and Truta who have done 4 in a row as well.
This season. Let's hear Morgan Mammila when he was sitting with me here, what he's had to say.
For your information, out of all 35 or 36 coaches, I'm the only head coach who has won 4 games in a row. There's no one.
Ben Dance did it.
I don't think so.
Ben Dance did it, I think, in his second stint, but I'll double check that for you, coach.
Double check.
So you win 4 in a row. A big stat.
Big stats. And tell me if are you telling me I'm the only luckiest coach in South Africa to win 4 games in a row in PSL? The answer is no. Hard work. We're working.
Well, you're not. Others have done it, Morgan, as Opta has told us. Mngqithi Mokoena did it. Brandon Truta did it. And Rulani Mokoena, of course, has gone on to do it on his own. Morgan Mammila, he was sitting with us, of course, talking to us about how and why it is that he left Chippa United. I can tell you now that we didn't get to that. it didn't get to the point of 1-1. I can't even talk to you guys about this because what do I even ask, Pro? It didn't get there.
When it comes to Bramogen, let me not comment with Andy. Let me leave it to Nadim. I know that's going to be the job.
No, please do comment because I will end up talking.
I want to hear you, Nadim. Nadim, I want to hear it.
No, but I made my comment last week.
Philani did say this guy is a fan. I mean, that's why he's actually like thinking himself that he won 4 games. This team Super United might even be relegated. They are 4 points away from the last team, which is Marumo Galas, and then still like stuck on that thing that happened last year where they won 4 games, and then what? Why did they fire him for doing a good job? I honestly don't understand the Chipampeng as well as Morgan Mammila, because Morgan Mammila is not a coach. He's a soccer fan. And hiring a fan, I mean, maybe Kaizer Chiefs must hire Machaka or Pirates must hire Makala Njalo. Then they will start praising themselves and say, I've done this, I've done this. Chipa United, as we speak, they are not even in the top 8. They are in a danger of being relegated from the Premier Soccer League. Chipampeng has rightfully fired him because he was no longer winning. He lost to Swallows that they are also fighting relegation with. So I don't know what to say much about him.
Well, let's move on from Morgan because I want to get out in the next 5 minutes so we're able to take calls and take some voice notes as well. The other big conversation we had this week is, of course, on what's happening down in the National First Division, now known, of course, as the Motsepe Foundation Championship. Struggling are the North teams from Limpopo, from Polokwane going up. And one of the reasons for that is their location. This is what Black Leopards Chief Tidiela had to say on that.
Yes, the location sort of counts on how you can be able to prepare, because once people have traveled for so long, now you're still expecting them to go and play. It becomes difficult. We travel the day before, they sleep in camp, but that's not enough. But it's not an excuse that I can give because we can't change our location.
That's on location. He says, traveling. You need to travel with bus to Johannesburg. When you get to Johannesburg, you then need to take a flight to wherever you're going. Whereas teams in Joburg and teams in places where there's airports, they just go to the airport and they go. So they've got to spend a little bit more time on the road. He goes on as well about how this is costly and therefore costing teams from the north a little bit more.
We can't afford that. It's even more costly. I mean, to go to Cape Town won't spend anything less than 300,000 just for a single match. But
it costs you 300,000 just for that one match.
And then the Motsepe Foundation League, your grant is 500,000.
It's 500,000 a month.
Yes, I can tell you every month I have to go to David Tidiera back pocket for about 800 to $1 million every single month. That's why I was talking of private jets in the beginning.
Yeah, speaking of private jets, because he was saying that if he doesn't own a soccer team, that 1 million a month that he spends on from his family, from his business, he can put into something fun. Gents, teams from the north, do they suffer a little bit more in the DStv Premiership and in the lower leagues as well? This time around being, in the Motsepe Foundation Championship. Nadim?
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult to disagree with Chief Tidiela on what he said, because it's like the other teams like Bloemfontein or KZN, they can just go straight to the airport and then go to their ideal destination. Yeah, it's very difficult running a soccer team. And it's so costly. I remember at one point in time I went to interview Mr. Mkwana from Crystal Stars, where he said it's an expensive hobby running a PSL team. Imagine, PSL, grant is over 2 million rand, but it was still not enough for him even to run Crystal Stars. He is telling the truth today, like very, very expensive running a soccer team. Let alone when you are in remote areas like Limpopo, and they are in Benda, which is west. Sometimes they play their matches there, and you have to travel to Johannesburg, then go to the airport. By that time, you're tired, so it's very, very difficult even to honor these matches when you are full fit, because they don't even have the money maybe sometimes to go 2 days, 3 days before the match, where they will camp and have high hotels and all those kind of things. It's really, really difficult.
Pro, when he mentions the numbers, it costs you 300,000 to go play in Cape Town, and you're a little bit more tired when you only get 500,000. I thought to myself, gee whiz, we've never looked at it that way.
I don't want to dismiss his claims with Andile, but there is Hungry Lions in Northern Cape. They are the only side in Northern Cape. Where are they in the log? They are number 4. There are 5 teams from the Limpopo province in the Motsepe Foundation Championship. So
4 of them are at the bottom.
4 of them are at the bottom, and I think my guess is
Northern Cape. He said that. He said that Hungry Lions is from the Northern Cape.
Yeah, but there's Kimberley Airport today. It's working fine, that airport.
This is true.
Yeah, I've been there and that airport is fine. So, Polokwane is very difficult, guys. I mean, I understand what you're talking about.
Pro, you want to finish in your point?
Yes, and as I was saying, there are 5 teams from the Limpopo province in the Motepe Foundation. So it means that Black Leopards have got about 12 points or 24 points to fight for. So you can always budget around those points, and you can always budget around the teams in Gauteng. I don't think that from Limpopo to Gauteng is a long trip. There's only Cape Town Spurs in the Western Cape. There is Utsongati in KZN. So I'm not sure whether the excuse about traveling is talking about Black Leopards on, because Cape Town Spurs as well, they need to travel 5 times to Limpopo, and they don't travel 5 times to Western Cape. So I don't think that is an excuse that one can use for poor performances in the Motepe Foundation. I think they really need to rethink their strategies and maybe come back with better excuses, but not the one of traveling. I'm sorry.
We're going to take a break. When we come back, how many more points does Sundowns need to clinch the league? Opta Jabu has done the maths.
We stay connected.
Fabulous.
No matter where you are or where we are. Metro FM. It's where you're at.
SABC One presents Kataro Mabue, our host for hot new television show Deal or No Deal, Monday to Friday at 7:30 on SABC One. Mzansi for sure.
It's heat like never before in the summer of cricket. The Proteas and the Windies shift their focus to the second one-day international clash. Who will have the best day in the office? The Proteas or the Windies? Be part of it. South Africa versus West Indies in the second ODI on S3. This Saturday, 18 March at 12:30 p.m. Also available on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
This is Sport Night Amplified with Andile. Okay.
Andile Jali was once upon a time a huge prospect of South African football. There is a picture that's floating around of Andile Jali, a man who's just a shadow of himself. To bring him here for our entertainment would be wrong. His brother is here. Simply, people have said, let us help you. I know TS Galaxy have reached out at some point.
Never.
I know at some point he was managed by, I think it was Basha Michaels.
Never. She's never
offered you help.
Never.
Got Basha Michaels on the line.
I've spoken to him on the phone on a number of occasions. I've sent him a number of e-wallets.
Simple?
Andile, yo, sis Pasha, she just ignored me.
I've got a text of you and her talking, a screenshot from WhatsApp. Here it is. So how is it that she's ignored you?
No, we talk.
Into simple, engati iqiniso umncane kulona.
This is Sport Night Amplified, powered by SABC Sport. Let's go. Yeah, we gon' get them. Get connected. WhatsApp the Metro FM studio. 060-552-7303.
Oh, my point was, what caught my attention this week was the discussion that happened between Chief Didiela and Andile during the week, where Chief lamented that there's a cost of having a team in Limpopo. When they do their travels to a place like Cape Town, they have to fork out an amount of approximately 300,000, and I see that as a high cost, and they are at a disadvantage. But my other concern was when they're hosting, how much do they normally use when they're hosting a team in Limpopo? Barty from Caps.
Right, I hear that, but I want to go to this very quickly. What does Sundowns need to win the league at the moment? Opta?
Sure, Andile. So if Sundowns...
Because we know that everybody under Supersport, Richards Bay, Chiefs, Pirates, who are all, of course, chasing at some point, they're all out.
They're all out.
So just Supersport we need to calculate with.
Just Supersport we need to calculate with. So it's a focus on them. If Supersport win this weekend, Sundowns will need 4 points to win the title. If Supersport draw or win or lose this weekend, then Sundowns only need 2 points.
So if Supersport win, then Sundowns need 4 points.
4 points.
So that's a game and a draw.
A game and a
draw. Win and a draw.
Win and a draw.
If they draw, Sundowns only need 1 game.
They only need just
one
2
victory,
points, which is one victory or 2 draws.
In SuperSport at Orlando Stadium.
What do you think is going to happen there?
Of course, they're not going to win there.
Let's talk about the games this evening. There's 2 in the DStv Premiership, starting at 7:30, both of them. Very quickly, gents. Swallows versus Lamontville Golden Arrows.
Arrows, they've got no place to hide. I think they beat Swallows 4-0 last time, and they need these 3 points. I don't know what the chairman will like this one, but I think Arrows will take it.
Stellenbosch versus Amazulu, Nadim.
Stellenbosch are too strong, and they are not going to lose to Amazulu. Amazulu, remember, the guy is struggling too. And the Stellenbosch are playing at home. I think they won 6-3 against Czech Galaxy. So that's an easy win for Stellenbosch.
And then, over the weekend, on Saturday, Orlando Pirates versus SuperSport United, Nadim.
Orlando Pirates will beat SuperSport United. I mean, that's why they are strong at Orlando Stadium. I know the Orlando Pirates coach is going to make mistakes where he play Mark or is a right back and cause confusion, but we just believe that at home they'll be strong enough to frustrate Gavin Hunt.
You agree?
Zakele Lepasa Derby, Gavin Hunt will not struggle. He will take this one easily.
So you think Zakele is going to upset his mother team?
There's Zakele Lepasa, there's Tamsanga Kabuza there. Those 2 boys, I think, will be motivated, and SuperSports will take it.
All right, I appreciate you guys so much. Let's see what happens over the weekend. And then, Nadim, get better. We want to see you in studio.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys. It's good looking at you far away from you guys. And yeah, I'll be fine.
And Pro, when are we seeing you in Joburg?
As soon as you invite me, with Andy, I'll be there. But good luck to Mamelodi Sundowns tomorrow. They don't need to beat Al Hilal to get to the
We're inviting you next week.
We're inviting you next week. He says they're out of here. They're gone. Thank you so much for all of you for interacting. And we look forward to having the guys on Friday again. Every single Friday. It's Podcast Fridays, yeah? And the 2 gents come in and they speak about the week that was. Where are they? Oh, there's Lulo. Lulo, come in here. I mean, gee whiz. I need to be nice to Lulo. With the amount of shows he's got here, he might end up being my boss one day. Opta Jabu still with us, of course, the studio. Opta, whenever you're in Joburg, please do come in.
Absolutely.
We love seeing you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Andile. Always a pleasure being here again.
How do they follow you again?
They can follow us on OPTAJABU, Facebook and Twitter, and Analytics Laduma, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram as well.
Appreciate you. Naked, but you look nice, man. Suit mara yama pajama.
Yeah.
Here?
It's called drip, and you see, you're an 80s baby. You wouldn't know these things. Yeah.
I don't
know. The only drip I know.
Oh, you don't know drip too? You can always tell when there's a room of old men.
Yeah.
You can tell who's dating young girls or a younger girl. You can You're more kuthetha ngento ze-drip.
He's a freshman.
40-year-old women don't know these things.
No, they don't. That's why I don't date them. You know. I keep it. Yeah, I keep it below 32. I keep it like the summer weather, below 32.
Gents, what do you have going on?
We need tips. Firstly, speaking of appreciation, we appreciate the cameras in the studio. We hardly appear on TV, so we're hoping this means at least we're going to have this 1 minute of
turn around. Girls always like looking at Lulu. You turn around and say hi.
I mean, you've been
turn around and say hi. There you go.
Oh, hello, everybody. You know, I hardly appear on TV.
Nice that's it. What do you guys got going on?
As you can see, the studio is kitted up.
I do.
Lots of
grapes.
That's going to be very nice. We, you know, look, as I told you last week, if the world or our country is filled with heavy headlines throughout the week. So our listeners get to send us those voice notes. Choose a heavy headline. Show us the lighter side of the headline by lightening it up, and you know, we might give you 5,000 rands.
5,000 rands.
Yeah. 1,000.
What's the date, Namhlanje? On the
it's mid-month. Just for looking on the bright side of life.
Yeah,
but listen, you don't walk away empty-handed if you the 2 runner-ups, because they get to each win a hamper of Castle Light. So
either way, if you call in, you're winning. If you
send that voice note,
it's voice note.
Yeah, if you send that voice note, you are definitely gonna walk away with something. Audiogasm, we've always got those prices, you know?
So what is the topic? Do you have the heavy topic yet?
No, come on. You've seen the headlines.
Yeah,
there's Choose any headline. You see, we don't want to box anybody. So any headline that's heavy, just show us the lighter side of that story. Send those voice notes to 060-552-7303.
Well, I can't wait. Ladies and gentlemen, I need to get out of here and leave it. Go find a headline so I can send that voice note through and have my weekend be lit as well. See, lit. I dated a young girl at some point. 7 o'clock. Top of the hour.
Metro. The biggest commercial radio station in South Africa.